Hello there YouTube, my name is Steven and I'm here with the second part of the Knights Honour Achievement Guide. Today I will be going through the Boss Tails weapons, and no, you didn't hear me wrong, that is Boss Tails. You literally have to cut off the tails of 5 bosses to receive these weapons. Nothing more, nothing less, although it can be slightly tricky. This is going to be a slightly shorter episode than the others because there are only 5 tails to cut off, but I'll get right into it. So we'll start this guide off with the Drake's Sword. Now this is the red dragon. You can find it in the Undead Burg. The first dragon you'll ever find in the game. It will most probably do a lot of damage to you the first time you come across it, as it like flies over your head and breathes fire down upon you. It's pretty hard to miss. Now before you go here, get a little bit of dexterity up in your character if you don't have enough already, and grab yourself a bow from the undead vendor that you can find in the very first part of the Undead Burg. What you need to do, you need to go underneath the bridge that the dragon is sitting on, and you need to shoot his tail, which is hanging down, and eventually you'll get the sword. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just type in Red Dragon Drake Sword or whatever in YouTube, you'll find a video guide, easy peasy. It's pretty simple and it won't take very long at all. So the second weapon we're going to look at here is the Gargoyle Tail Axe. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is needed for the achievement, but I'm going to assume it is because it's very easy to get anyway. So the gargoyle fight is a fight I'm sure most of you are familiar with. All you need to do, when the first gargoyle jumps down, cut off its tail, easy peasy. Make sure you get the tail before the second one shows up, because it's far easier dealing with just the one. So, the next weapon we're going to look at is the Dragon King Great Axe. This is dropped by the Gaping Dragon. If you haven't fought it yet, you will know what it looks like when you see it, because it's a big ass dragon thing. Very large, very hard to miss. Now, for this one, I advise you just simply wait for him to charge at you, get round behind him as he sits there for a few seconds looking at a wall, contemplating his existence, and whack him in the back of the tail a few times. Make sure you clear out, because you won't get it off the first time, and he will probably spin around and take a nice chunk of life off you. So do this a couple of times, wait for the all-satisfying crunch of its tail falling off, and you'll have the Dragon King Great Axe sitting nicely in your inventory. Now, the next weapon is actually not tied to a boss fight and is extremely missable. I in fact missed it completely on my first playthrough. So, you need to head somewhere called Ash Lake. You may have missed this, I certainly did, as I said in my first playthrough. Head back down to the swamp in Blighttown, if you've been there already, and rather than heading towards Quelaag's domain, wheel yourself around and run in the completely opposite direction. Eventually, you'll come across some slugs and a bridge leading up into a tree. Now, you must fight your way through a place called the Great Hollow, full of cursing monsters and very far drops, so bring yourself some nice paladin resistance sets or whatever, and head down the Great Hollow. Once you're at the bottom, you'll find yourself in Ash Lake, the more obscure place in the world, if you ask me. I mean, it's a big lake full of ash with a hydra in it, and clams that like to headbutt you. So either face off against a hydra or run for your life across Ash Lake, one of the harder options in my opinion, and you'll eventually come across a dragon. But don't panic! Don't hit the dragon! Don't hit the dragon, for he is a friendly dragon and he can actually let you into the Eye of the Dragon Covenant, I believe it's called. All you need to do, head round the back of him, cut off his tail. He won't get pissed off at you at all. He probably can't even feel it back there anymore. I mean, he is pretty old. So, cut off his tail, nice and easy, and then, you know, just leave whenever you feel like it. Have a chat with the dragon. I'm sure he's a pretty interesting character, being alive for so long. Now, on to the next weapon. So, now you've cut off the tail of 3 or 4 dragons already, you've got to cut off the tail of another dragon, and this is the biggest, scariest one of them all. I am, of course, referring to Seath the Scaleless. He is a bit of a pain in the rear end to get the tail off of. He's very big, and he spins around very quickly, and he waggles his tails like a prick whenever you go behind him, sending you flying and taking off a lot of damage. Now, first of all, needless to say, he curses you, so bring yourself another paladin set or something of the kind that gives you a high curse resistance, and a big sword to cut off his tail. Now, what I advise you do with Seath is, obviously, before you actually inflict any damage to him, you have to destroy a crystal at the back of his cave. When you destroy this crystal, he flinches for quite a while and is immobilized, doesn't do anything, just cries a bit. So run round to the back of this cave, stand in front of the crystal, but don't attack it. wait for Sif to come along and attack it himself. During his attacking animation, run up behind him, he'll break his own crystal, and he'll be stunned there while you're already back behind him, ready to attack his tail. And you can get a nice few hits in, and if you don't cut off the tail right there and then, you'll definitely cut it off within a few hits after it. Like I said, he does waggle his tails around a bit, causing quite a bit of damage and nuisance, so he may give you a bit of trouble, but you know, keep at it, you'll get it eventually. Now we finally reach the last tail, and my god is this one hard to get. Priscilla's Dagger. Crossbreed Priscilla in the Painted World of Ariamus also has a tail. Now I didn't even notice this in my first few playthroughs, but my goodness, it's a fairly small tail, and she goes invisible during this fight. She's ridiculous. This fight is ridiculous to get the tail off, in my humble opinion. But it is possible. I did manage to do it in the end with a very big sword and a lot of rolling and suicide, because obviously you can't kill her, otherwise you'll have to go through a whole other playthrough to get the tail again. What you need to do, just when she goes invisible, there are a number of ways you can get her to reappear again, mainly by dealing loads of damage, but archers, they can shoot an arrow into her, and that way you can see where she's moving by the arrow stuck inside of her, or you can look at her footprints and try and angle yourself behind her, but both of these are very tough. What I advise you do, try and get her invisible again, and she does this attack where she blows like magical fairy dust, which kicks your ass if it hits you, into the air in your general direction, and this also makes her stand completely immobile while blowing it, and it has a fairly long attack animation. So what you do, just get behind her, have a nice jab in there, be very patient with this boss, and if you're about to kill her and she still hasn't dropped it, don't risk it, jump off the side like a crazy motherfucker, and just respawn and run back in there and do it again when she has full health. This boss fight will require patience, and I do feel sorry for you, because it is the biggest prick of a tail-cutting boss thing I've ever had the misfortune to try and accomplish. If you do in fact do it in your first try, please tell me about it in the comments section, because I mean, you deserve to gloat. Now that is it for this one, I'm afraid. I think I've covered all of them. Yes, I have. All the boss tails to cut off are in this guide. In the next one, I'll be wrapping up with the elusive weapons that are just dotted around the world that you need to get from either drops from regular enemies or you get in chests and whatnot. It'll probably be the longest episode because there are so many of them, but I'll try my best to put it in a relatively short video. I thought this video was going to be short, but here we are, almost at 8 minutes. So thank you for sticking with me. I hope it's been informative and useful and enjoyable, and I'll see you in the third and final part of my Knight's Honour Achievement Guide. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.